Okay, Williams WPC Roadshow. There is some sort of ground short on row 3. Pretty interesting. So it's calmed down on row 3. And now you can see it says, oh, there it goes. You can see it. Now it's starting to flicker again. So it kind of like gets itself back into a mode, and now you can see row 3 is flickering. But 4 and 5 aren't looking so good either. One thing this game uses a fair number of optos. Like it was, you said it was complaining about the trough opto first, when this whole thing started. So this is the opto board under here, and if I pull this connector, it'll remove the power for the whole opto board. And when I do that, look, we lose all our row shorts. And some of the switches, like these ones, these radio bank ones that weren't working before, now start working. The same thing with this guy that wasn't working before, mostly because it was in a shorted row. Those are all working. So the game seems to react properly now with the opto board disconnected. So it would be a fair assumption to think that there's a problem with this board. So let's pull it off and take a closer look. So here's the opto board removed, and I am starting to actually see this problem more and more. If you look at it, I don't know if you could see it, but you see there's like a little wetness here right by my finger. If I show you just in the right light, you can see it. That is this capacitor here taking a crap. It's basically the electrolyte from the capacitor just coming out, and I think it's driving this board crazy. Sometimes it could be so bad. There was one I recently worked on, a Dracula, that did this, that this was so bad that all the traces here were just like totally corroded, and I had to take all these parts off and bead blast it and put it back together, and then the board worked. But this one I think we caught early enough that we can probably just clean up the electrolyte and replace this cap. Put a new 100 microfarad cap on here, and I'll plug it in and we'll see what happens. Okay, board installed. I'm going to put the connector on with the power, and we now still shows ground row short on those rows, but we'll give it a second and see if that one magical row 3 starts to light up again. But we still have another problem, because like right here, when I pull this plunger up, that's one of these optos, and it's not showing it as opening and closing on the screen as I push this thing up. So I think there's probably still another problem, maybe with one of the LM339s, and we'll have to get a little more invasive on this board. So this is the schematic for that 7 opto switchboard, and we were having problems with row 4 and 5. So here's row 4, row 5. They all go to this chip right here, which is U2. There's only 2 of these voltage comparator chips on this board, U1 and U2. And the first 4 row 1, 2, and 3 are U1, and row 4, 5, 6, and 7 are U2. So it looks like U2 would be the culprit, so I pulled it out and socketed it on the board. And then I've got this nifty little eBay chip tester thing. These are really cool, and they're under 25 bucks. If with it in there, I hold this down, and look, it shows ERR. That means that the chip is bad. And just to give you an idea, that's the one we removed. So our hunch is pretty good. Now here's a brand new LM339, and again, this is a voltage comparator because the optos run at 12 volts. So basically, they're converting light optics to zeros and ones is more or less what this board is doing. So here's a regular 339, brand new, and you see it comes up 339 on the tester. So that's a good chip. So we're going to put the good chip in the board, and we'll test again. Okay, so they have the chip replaced, and we're going to power it up, put the little connector on, and voila, no more row shorts. And if I pull the plunger up here, we can see that the trough opto works, and if I take my screwdriver and run it down the trough, I can see the trough 4. Here, we can do it here. 4, 3, 2, 1 with this, and then down here we can get the trough jam right there, sticking my screwdriver in from there. So now all our optos are working. So when that little capacitor took a poop on this board, it apparently took out the LM339 chips and had to be replaced. But now we're all good. And what you're seeing here, like these are all the dots are open switches, but optic switches show in reverse. An open optic switch is going to be a square. So like when I block trough 1, you can see how the square goes the other way, goes back to a dot. So optos show up reverse of like a normal switch. Like right here is the right in lane switch that I'm just hitting, and you can see. So there you go. And switch 23, that one right there, is always closed. That it's hardwired closed, so that when the game boots up, if it sees that switch open, it knows that there's no power to the switch matrix, and you get that error message, check fuse 114, 115. That's how it knows. It tries to be smart.
Time to go to work. Let's fire that thing up.
All right, so she's all working. Way to go.
Hey, look, kid, taxi cab.
You will remove that bulldozer from the street.